Terry Fans here. I'm about to review Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. As you can see, I got it on PSP. When I got this PSP in a trade from Listia, the guy told me that it came with a few bonus games like Angry Birds, Crash Bandicoot Warp, Ridge Racer Type 4, Silent Hill, and many others. Well, I'm going to review Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Since I don't have it in disc format, this is the way it's going to have to be reviewed. And no, I will not show game footage. But I also got Resident Evil Extinction on PSP and UMD now, so I can watch this when I don't want to play games. I can watch this movie, and I got a case for it. I just had it in the PSP because I was watching it just now. I mean, it's pretty good quality on a PSP. The cellular was kind enough to give me a case for the movie. Anyway, let's get on to the review of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Return to Raccoon City to guide Jill Valentine and Carlos through this classic survival horror nightmare. The crazy thing is, this game was released in 1999, and I still remember the commercial for it like it was yesterday. It was still a scary commercial for the game. Nemesis is the main antagonist in this video game, with you playing the main protagonist, Jill Valentine. And the crazy thing is, this game is a sequel and a sequel. Basically, it takes place during the events of Resident Evil 2, and then after it. It basically takes place right after the end of Resident Evil 2, which is pretty unique for a game like this. And you get to see what happens in the events of Resident Evil 2 that you didn't know while you played Resident Evil 2. Anyway, this is basically taking Jill Valentine's perspective of the Raccoon City outbreak. The intro shows that the government and Umbrella's attempts to stop the outbreak have failed miserably. I do mean miserably. You watch the intro and you'll see what I mean. Jill is now running through the city, escaping these monsters, the zombies, and many others, including the mutant dogs, which is pretty scary in my book. You later meet up with Brad, the pilot who deserted the team in the first game. I forgot to mention that the team was abandoned by Brad, left to fend for themselves, because Brad, known as Chicken Heart, he's basically a coward, born a coward, and he died a coward in this game. Brad informs Jill that that Umbrella has released a new tyrant called Nemesis. Umbrella releases Nemesis to kill all the surviving STARS team members so they couldn't reveal the truth about Umbrella. This is a pretty sick plot. Almost like a Terminator style. Kill the witness, you don't have a case. So basically now Jill, while fighting off all kinds of monsters, has to deal with Nemesis. She has random encounters with Nemesis throughout the whole game. And unlike other enemies in this game, the Nemesis can run, dodge attacks, and pursue you into different parts of the game. And some can even have a rocket launcher. That's what makes this game scary, is because Nemesis is a bad dude. You'd be better off messing with Freddy Krueger than Nemesis. Kind of think of it, it would be scary to have Freddy Krueger in Resident Evil. That would be scary. Anyway, back to the game. It's not hard to find. Jill will eventually run into Carlos in two different scenarios, either in a restaurant or in the press room. They agree to join forces to survive. Carlos seemed like the kind of guy that will give you the shirt off his back, because he always helps Jill out. And I'd like to see Carlos in another Resident Evil game. He was in Resident Evil Extinction and Apocalypse, and of course Retribution. But anyway, back to this review. And he's also in The Umbrella Chronicles, which is basically a retelling of Resident Evil 3. The game's graphics were pretty much the same as Resident Evil 2. Basically, you get to explore the same game as Resident Evil 2, but with more. But you're basically taking place during the events, and you don't know if you ran the. You don't know if Leon and Claire have been at a building before you. You know, kind of think of it. They should have made the game where Leon, Claire, and Jill would meet. That would have been interesting, but that's the story. The story is pretty good, and honestly, this game scares me too. When I was playing, after I was leaving the police department, I got my heart started racing when Jill ran to the Nemesis after he jumped through the window. And to be honest with you guys, I just ran. Yes, I ran from Nemesis. Since Resident Evil mostly focused on the fact that you got to save your ammo and healing herbs, because they give you limited on that. But in this game, they give you a good handful of ammo and healing herbs, but that's the principle. I decided to fight another day, because I'm pretty sure Nemesis would have crossed your path again. And you really have different encounters with Nemesis throughout the whole game. And to this day, many people praise Nemesis as one of the best villains in Resident Evil, in any video game for that matter. The sound is pretty good, and the voice acting is pretty decent, in my opinion. I like Jill's voice. And I believe it's by the same actress who voiced Jean Grey in the X-Men animated television show in the 90s. But yeah, this is a pretty good some good voice acting in the game. The controls are really tight in this game to give you more of being afraid more. And the gameplay is really tough, and also you gotta be very careful because you don't want to waste all your ammo on killing zombies, because you gotta be conservative, because this is survival horror. I'm sorry. But the difficulty can be a pain, and if you're not careful, you can run into an ambush of zombies and Nemesis. There's also a bonus game when you beat this game called Mercenaries, where you play as one of the surviving UBSC members, Umbrella Biohazard Counter Service. I believe that's the UBCS is what it's called. I forgot. I sometimes can't remember good, but on the names, but still, overall, it's a pretty good game. I say it's a solid sequel, with events taking place during Resident Evil 2 and events after it. So if you're a fan of Resident Evil, I recommend picking up Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It's really challenging, and will give you a run for your money, literally. Overall, I give Resident Evil 3 Nemesis a 8 out of 10. Thank y'all for watching, and take care. Stars! You want stars? I'll give you stars. Joe Valentine.